1. So I had a 22 top today. They called a reservation in yesterday, so we couldn't fit them in the main dining room. We had a proper musician and were booked up. Put them in the banana room, which is right off to the side. The reservation was at 2 and they started staggering in around 1:30. We set up 4 tables for them and they started doing their thing. These people, oh my god. They came in and proceeded to take up the whole room. They had their 4 tables, and they took a 5th to set their cake on, and a 6th and 7th to put their bags and coats. At first it wasn't an issue because we still had seating in the main dining room. But they didn't pay the room fee, and we did still need this room for other seating eventually. They had small children, and these kids were running all over the place. They were shutting the doors to keep the kids in the room, but whatever. We didn't need that room for other guests at that time. I started to take care of them. They ordered all at different times, got drinks and apps for one table, while another was still deciding on their drinks. Then one table ordered entrees and the others didn't want to order yet. People at one table were pointing at someone at another table, saying they were on that tab. I figured it out. Good thing I had these people because I'm patient. I did it. It all went smoothly. Fast forward to the end. I was starting to hand out checks, and one of the people at the least difficult table asked me how they tipped. I said I don't know because they hadn't cashed out yet. So he opted to cash out last. I cashed them out. I didn't grant them. Chanced it instead of taking 18%. So one table left me $30 on like 100. Great. Another left 20 on 150. Okay, whatever. Another one with 2 kids that didn't sit at the table for 6 I set for them, and opted to sit 6 people at a 4-top, left me $2 on $130. I failed to mention that all of them had gift cards, every single one. So I went back to that one guy at the last table and I told him. One was lovely, one was okay, one was terrible. He told me to give him a number. I said $30 would make it even, so he cashed out. This table was 2 tabs. One left me $30 on their $70 tab, and this guy, he paid his entirely in gift cards and said he'd leave cash. He then proceeded to order another bottle of wine. It was a $20 bottle of wine, handed me $120 and said keep the change. The kids left a fucking mess. It took me forever to clean up this room, since they stuck around and I couldn't pull out the vacuum. I had to scrub the floors at some parts because the kids messed the floor up. And these people stayed. They apologized for the mess, but it wasn't them. They said, we're not invited back. I assured them, yes, the fuck you are. He got another bottle and left $10 more. This party was frustrating, but I am on the level-headed side and was fine with it. That $2 tip would have upset me if this guy wasn't there. It took me so long to clean that room. But he made it worth it. They didn't leave until like 7, but I gave 0 shits. I forgot to mention, the table with the $2 tip also modified their food like crazy. They were the only ones modifying things. I got things right and had the manager discount one thing because they didn't get sides. They weren't even fussed about the discount, but I'm not terrible at my job. Their $120 check was paid with $115 in gift cards and $7 cash. Could have been a slap in the face had their family members not been angels. 2. I just started training to be a server yesterday, and the place that I work at charges 89 cents per 2-ounce sauce or dressing. Yes, I know that's kinda dumb. They justify it by saying we make it in-house. 2 days in, I have already had this happen to me twice. I'll let the customer know their ranch or something will be 89 cents extra. They say, ranch is 89 cents? I say yes and repeat myself just in case. Then they just sit there and stare at me with this weird look. I don't know how to describe it, but they look at me like I've just said the most mind-bogglingly stupid thing known to man, or something extremely offensive. For a literal 15 seconds or so? A long time? I get that it's dumb, but what do they wish to achieve with this look? Do they want me to make an exception for them and say, haha, psych, it's free, and apologize? I'd get in trouble, and there's no way an adult doesn't realize that, right? Why are they giving me this look? Don't shoot the messenger. Do they actually think I can do anything? Do you think they actually get annoyed with me for this? I understand they're just frustrated, and working in the restaurant business, I see all kinds of weird behaviors from people. So this usually wouldn't stick out to me or bother me so much, but they just stare for so long. They legitimately sit there and stare at me accusingly until I get uncomfortable and say something like, "I'm sorry, ma'am." I just don't get how a grown adult can have such a sense of reaction to sauce. It's really just like I told you the sky is green. I understand that it's stupid, and I totally get where they're coming from. I'm sure I've thought something like this in some form before. But at a certain point, some people's reactions are just over the top for a cup of ranch. What are they going to do when they encounter bigger or more important inconveniences? Pass out? Contain yourself. In regards to the management, they are fully aware that it is stupid and, as far as I can tell, are told so every day by annoyed customers as they work shifts with us at the register and pretty much any position in the restaurant. I think that the restaurant is a chain and that the prices are up to the owners of the restaurant and chain. I'm not sure how that works. They would have changed it by now if they were ever going to. The sauces used to be 79 cents when I started working less than a year ago, so the price has actually gone up. 3. I'm a 20-year-old female and work at a Mexican restaurant in the suburb of Chicago. They trust me a lot there, so I'm often given the tables with the most turns since I can get people in and out. I had a 16-top reservation at 7:45, with mostly 2-top rezos at the tables before them. I did have a 5-top and 6-top as well, but they were awesome and weren't in the section I'm referring to in this post. I had no issues with any of my tables except table 15. The two of them showed up 15 minutes late to the rezo and took about 20 minutes to put a singular virgin marg in. Only drink they ordered all night. When I dropped it off, I also gave them a heads up that they would have about 55 minutes left at the table, and they were both taken aback. I explained that we had a reservation for 16 people at 7:45. They huffed and shooed me away. I mentioned it to the assistant manager because I had a feeling it was going to get worse. I give them a few minutes and go back to check on them. They stare me down and give me the slowest responses a table has ever given me. You wouldn't guess that these were two 40-year-old women, Jane and Karen, with how childish they were acting. Thankfully, they have handheld, so I could instantly send to the kitchen and go check on other tables. Their food comes out quickly. I told the kitchen to rush it since it was 2 tacos each, and the food runner comes back shaking his head muttering, "Fucking bitches." I check on them, and nothing seems to be wrong, even though they're staring daggers at me. 7:30 rolls around and I drop the check off. Mind you, they got their food within 10 minutes, so they had more than 25 minutes to eat 2 tacos and some rice. And still had 15 minutes left at the table. I was dropping it off as a heads up and slight reminder, which I made clear. I also offered them seats at the bar, which they look appalled that I would even suggest that. This is where the 2 housewives lose it. They have only eaten 1 taco each, and Jane goes on and on about how she's never been rushed like this at her restaurant and that the service here is terrible. I apologize and explain I have no control over rezo times. That is simply my job to get through them. Karen was silent, except making slight comments to egg Jane on. Then Karen cuts Jane off and asks for a box and some containers since she can't finish her food. I go and grab her items, and place 2 containers inside the box so I'd still have a hand free to carry my drink tray, for the 5-top I still had. I drop off the box and then the drinks. I see Karen waving me down, so I go back to the table, and she goes, "Where's the box?" I look down and pointed at the box I just dropped off, and then she goes, "I said, where's the box? You didn't bring me one." So I lifted the 2 containers out of the box and pointed at it. I go, "Do you mean this box?" And she snatched it out of my hands and goes, "We wouldn't even need it if you'd let us eat here." I sighed and walked away. The 16-top arrives because it's now 7:45. All my other tables in that section have been closed out except table 15. I send my manager over to try and get the check. She comes back with it and goes, "Yeah, you're gonna want to talk to your GM about them," which is never a good sign. They tried accusing her of not being a manager and hounded her about table times as well. As I'm running around dealing with the new 16 top along with the 6 top and 5 top I still had, these women come up and stop me. They started reading our table time policy to me and asked if I had the comprehension skills to understand it after explaining, for what felt like the millionth time, that I can't do much about it, I just shut up. They bitched me out, calling me all types of names before they asked for the owner. The owner was actually in for once, picking up some tacos. I pointed to him and said he's right there. They looked at him, then turned back to me and go, "We will never be dining here again," and then just walked out of the place. I was on the verge of tears at that point because I've never been treated like that by a table. I was honestly waiting for them to refer to me as the help. 4. I worked in a steak and seafood restaurant while I was in college. Great little place with a perfect schedule for students. No lunches and closed on Sundays. Even better, the food was excellent and the staff one of the best in town. We were always busy, which made for a nice payday for HT6E waiters. I had a good group of regulars and did really well. Naturally, that doesn't mean it was all roses and sunshine. While 99% of the customers were great and easy to take care of, there is always that 1%. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. Anyway, on the night in question, I opened up the restaurant, which meant I also got one of the best sections in the place. 5 tables, 3 4 tops, and 2 deuces, or 2 tops. My first table of the night is the primary focus of our story. They were an elderly couple. She was as sweet as my grandmother, so let's call her Grandma. And he, well, we'll call him Grumpy Old Man, was not in the best mood, but wasn't being rude yet. Of course, there's me. They ordered drinks from the bar, which is usually a good sign. When I returned with their drinks, they were ready to order their entrees. Perfect. Easy peasy, a nice simple start to the weekend night. I need to explain something about the restaurant real quick. Cook line is exposed to the restaurant, which is kind of cool. The prep area in back has the dish station, dry storage, the cooler and freezer, plus a small office for the owner and chef. Tucked in the corner is a table about 32 inches square, where all food prep is done. Like I said, we're a steak and seafood restaurant. We're very proud that our fish is as fresh as you can get it 400 miles from the coast. And the cooks do an excellent job of preparing it. They still do as I stop there whenever I go home to visit. This little table is where all the steaks are cut. The desserts are mixed and prepped for baking or freezing in case of the ice cream pies. And the fish is scaled and portioned. Obviously, extreme care is taken to keep this area clean, but sometimes things happen. Cue Grumpy Old Man. One of our more popular seafood entrees is bay scallops, small dishes of super rich goodness floating in drawn butter and appropriate seasoning. And yes, they are portioned and prepped on that same little table where the fish is scaled and portioned. I'm thinking you can guess where this is going. Yep. Grumpy Old Man ordered the scallops, and I made sure to inform him what an excellent choice he had made. I don't remember what Grandma ordered, but it's not really pertinent. I had delivered their food, and was getting waters for the 2 new tables in my section, when I heard the Grumpy Old Man's voice. "Boy!" Kind of rude, because I always introduce myself when I approach a table, and I'm 6'3". Not exactly a boy, but whatever. "Yes, sir, can I get you something?" "What the heck is this in my food?" He points at what appears to be a small piece of chewed plastic on his plate next to the dish the scallops came in. "I'm so sorry, sir. Let me take care of that and I'll get you a new order of scallops as quickly as I can." I took the little chewy thing, it would turn out to be a fish scale, and his scallops, and went to get a new order, making sure to let the owner and chef know exactly what happened. A quick discussion ensues, and naturally, Grumpy Old Man's meal is comped. I stop at the waiter station on my way back to my section to get waters for the 2 additional new tables in my section, dropping them off before going back to the Grumpy Old Man to let him know it would be a few minutes, apologizing again, letting him know it was just a fish scale, and with us being a seafood restaurant serving fish as fresh as we can get it, Sometimes things happen. I also let him know that his meal was taken care of. What followed was a diatribe, a lecture, a rant, a tirade that any politician would be proud of. Grumpy old man accused me and the restaurant of trying to poison him. He threatened to contact the health department, to sue, even questioned my intelligence and my capacity to do my job. And he wasn't doing it quietly. When I had the chance, I would apologize again and reassure him it was an anomaly, that it wouldn't happen again, and that the owner of the restaurant was paying for his meal. I even threw in a piece of cheesecake on my own just to make him happy. One of the other servers brought over his new order of scallops, and I waited while he searched for another spurious fish scale. He finally let out a huge "huh," and dismissed me with a wave of his hand. I was now seriously in the weeds and went to my 4 other tables, all of whom had just witnessed what I had been through, and got their drink orders and told them I'd be right back to take their food orders. Each in turn, they all told me not to worry about it, they understood. What happened next is proof that no matter what, there is hope for humanity. I drop off all the drinks and start with the first table to arrive. Pretty standard orders until I get to the last person, the guy that is getting the check. You know, I've heard you have the best scallops in the state. I love scallops. His delivery is getting a little affected. Only thing is, I'd like a little more body in my meals. Can you do me a favor and see if you can find some fish scales in the back and maybe add them to my order? You know, make them a little more chewy. Yes, sir, I'll see what I can do. A subtle grin crosses my face as I know the grumpy old man heard every word. Table 2, again, the last guy to order. Hey, I heard that last guy order. Do you think I could get some of those scallops with extra fish scales too? My grin gets bigger. Table 3, scallops with fish scales? Even bigger grin. Yep, all 4 tables ordered scallops and asked loudly for fish scales. It took everything I had not to burst out laughing. I made sure to stop by Grumpy Old Man's table to check on him and Grandma to see if they needed anything else. This time Grandma answered, "Just 2 cups of coffee." "Yes, ma'am, and I'll be sure to bring you your cheesecake too." I picked up their plates and glanced at the grumpy old man who somehow looked 6 inches shorter than he had when they came in. He couldn't even look at me. I turned in my new orders and told the owner what had happened. He didn't even try not to laugh. Hey, it's his restaurant. I took Grumpy Old Man and Grandma their coffee, cheesecake, and their check. They managed to slip out while I was taking care of the rest of my section. When I picked up the check, the Grumpy Old Man left me enough cash for the bill and a $50 tip. With pricing at the restaurant at the time, Grandma's entree and coffee would have been less than $20. As apologies go, I'll take cash and an amazing story every time. It's been a few years since this happened, so the quotes are as best as I can remember them. I don't remember if Grumpy Old Man and Grandma ever came back. 5. I'm 20 years old, male, and going to college. I have noticed people don't name drop, probably for a good reason. So let's say this place is known as a lower-end steakhouse that plays country music. I am the last person to be fired. At least that's what I thought. I was always confused how people got fired. Now I understand there is both sides to every story. This is the first time I have ever been late. 5 minutes late. I am not entirely sure my manager was aware, but that would explain his behavior. I was coming up to him when I got to work to get his car to clock in. This man looks at me, proceeds to go to the entrance to open the door for guests. He's still holding the door minutes later, with nobody in sight coming in. Unbelievable. Not only is that immature, just straight up unprofessional from the top manager. Anyway, here is my second altercation. A lady at my table received a 6-ounce sirloin instead of a 6-ounce fillet, so I tell her my manager can take the fillet off the bill and make it a sirloin. Keep in mind, it was obviously a sirloin, and why would she lie? So I go to my manager and explain that she got the wrong steak. He responds, "How would you know it's a sirloin and not a fillet?" I explain that she said it tastes like a sirloin, and I definitely thought it looked like one. He responds with the "How do you know?" question again. Really, man? I respond with politely asking him to check on the table, and he immediately storms off. After an unnecessary 2 or 3 minute conversation with my table, he realized I was right. Unbelievable. At this point, he starts checking on my tables specifically. Usually, managers check in on all tables. This guy checked only on my tables, multiple times. I noticed this strange behavior. Then, this is what got me fired ultimately. I ordered food. I got a salad to snack on. Everybody eats, never got in trouble for it. I was starving and had a few bites of my salad, which maybe took 10 seconds. Then the manager goes in the most rude tone possible. "You're seriously eating food when we're this busy? We have people to serve and you're just standing there." I held my anger in as much as possible. He's been bullying me the entire night, essentially. I simply respond, "Just having a few quick bites." He starts yelling at me to run food. I just got sat a table of 7, so obviously that is my priority. I get their drink order, then he comes up to me and tells me that another server is taking my table, and that if I want to eat food, I can eat food at home. I finish with my tables and leave without saying anything, even though I had so much to say. He didn't even tell me I was fired. I check my work app hours later to see my shift's gone and my heart sank. I called today and asked what was going on, and I was told that I'm fired and have the opportunity to reapply in 6 months. Yeah, no thanks. After that phone call, I was removed from the work app and cannot log in. The dude is a creep, always friendly with female staff and always felt the need to pick on all the guys. Recently, my favorite manager was holding back tears because of this man. I haven't seen him since, and we got a new server manager. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 203. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please bonk the like button before you go, I'd appreciate it. Okay, let's see. I don't think we've got any other business today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, what is an amazingly popular food that so many people seem to have eaten that you've never tried and don't think you ever will? For no reason other than you just don't care. For me, it's literally scallops, mentioned in one of our stories there. I don't know what they are. I've never tasted them. If someone put them in front of me, I'd probably eat them, but I will never go out of my way to find them. I'm sure they're delicious. I just don't know, although I do like seafood. That being said, for years, I would have said the same about sushi. But I tried it one day and I rather enjoyed it. It was one of my regular purchases for snacking. So let me know, what are some of yours? Please pop your answers in a comment below. With that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.